Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to take a look at the Mercedes-Benz SL. Not this particular one, although this might feature in a future video, but generally the Mercedes-Benz SL, looking back from the 1950s. The Mercedes-Benz SL is one of their longest serving product lines. It goes right back to 1954 and the 300 SL Gullwing. Ever since, there's been confusion over what SL actually stands for. It was confirmed a few years ago that it stands for Super Leicht. That's German, obviously. In English, that will be super light, or if you prefer in Italian, super leggero. So, from the W198 Gullwing, the 300 SL in 1954, they then produced, a year later, a roadster version with a smaller engine. That's the 190 SL or the W121. Stick with us, there's lots of code numbers to go with. When the Gullwing was finished in 1957, it was replaced by a roadster version, and that went from 1957 to 1963 along with the 190 Roadster. Then came the W113, which became known as the Pagoda because of the shape of the hardtop. Since the Roadsters, all the SLs have had a hardtop and a soft top. But to be honest, the hardtop takes two people to put on and is a bit of a faff. So carrying on the timeline, from 1971 came the R107. The R107 was one of the longest serving models for Mercedes-Benz. Over 18 years. It didn't really have a nickname, but some people referred to it as the Bobby Ewing because in the late 70s and early 80s, the programme Dallas, those of you who remember Dallas, there was a character called Bobby Ewing, and guess what? He drove an SL. He actually drove the 450 SL in bright red. It was the American version, obviously with the big fat bumpers and the quad headlights. So where have we got to? That's 1971 all the way through to 1989, where it was replaced by the R129. Now, this was the first kind of real departure in terms of body style. Still a two-seat roadster, still got hard top and a soft top, but it was quite a different shape to the predecessor. And to be fair, it probably had there's probably a missing link in terms of evolution because the R107 was around for so long. Now the R129 carried on until 2001. Where it was replaced by the R230. Still keeping up? Now the R230, actually what I'm driving here now, underwent a facelift in around 2006, new engines, a little bit of a styling refresh, and then it carried on until 2008 when there was another facelift where they did away with the quad headlights. Now the R230 was the first model not to have a hardtop and a soft top, but in fact it has got a hardtop. It just doesn't have a soft top, but this hard top is folding. So it's a metal folding roof, the first one. And to be honest, it's an awful lot easier than messing about with a separate roof. From 2011 onwards was the R231, which is pretty much what you see today in the SL. I know there's a new one coming out, but pretty much the SLs that you see around the modern ones are the R231. And shape-wise, it was very similar to the R230, but it was made in aluminium rather than steel. So there you have it. What's that? 6 generations of SL, 7th on the way, and spanning what 66, 67 years. That's pretty good going for a model. But which are the ones that you want to get into? Which are the ones that are best value? Are there any that are still going to be gaining in value? Has the ship sailed on some of them from an investment point of view? Well, I'm on the way to go and have a look at some. I'll line up this R230 alongside a W113, an R107 and an R129, and we'll just talk about a few of the differences and a little bit about which ones I think are the best in terms of value and investment, where they are in investment terms. So I'll see you later. I'm going to the market, they've got a few in, so I'll see you in there a little bit later on. This is the W113, also known as the Pagoda because of the curve in the roof. It was produced from 1963 to 1971 and came in 3 different engine options of a 2.3, 2.5 and a 2.8 litre. Price wise, these are £50,000 and up. I've even seen one near 180,000. from an investment point of view, the horse is pretty much bolted on this one, unless you can find one that needs restoration. The R107 is one of Mercedes' longest serving models. It was in production from 1971 to 1989. The engines on these range from a 2.8 litre 6-cylinder to a 5.6 litre V8. Price-wise, you can get these for as low as £10,000. The market has really caught on to this one, and the best ones are going for nearer to £90,000. There's still some investments to be had here. If you can find a good one in need of restoration, this is the one to go for. So that brings us on to the R129, in production from 1981 to 2001, again with straight 6 engines from 2.8 litres upwards, but it also included V8s and even a V12. You can pay less than £10,000 for these, but I've also seen them up to £40,000. So still not quite where the R107 is, but that's definitely the rising star. So this is where today's money is going to be. There's a lot of interest in the R129 at the moment, but the prices have started to rise. So if you want one of these at a good price, you want to be quick. In 2001 along came the R230, and it stayed in production with a couple of facelifts until 2011. Engines on these range from a 3.5 litre V6 up to a 6 litre V12, and this was the first model in the range which featured a folding metal roof. In terms of price, you can get early R230s for as little as £5,000, but equally you can pay upwards of 20 for a good high-spec AMG model. If you like the easy life of a folding metal roof, then this is the one to go for. You're not going to make a quick buck on these, but actually at about £10,000 you can get a really good one. Give it another 4 or 5 years and we could start seeing prices rising here. So to summarise, so if you've got very deep pockets, go for the 1950s models. The 300 SL Gullwing is just gorgeous, and you'll never be short of someone wanting to buy it from you, but you'll have to pay a fair bit to get one. The 190 SL of that era, a little bit more accessible, but it's still very deep pockets to buy them, and likewise the 300 Roadster. So in a way you can kind of rule those guys out, because I don't know about you, but I haven't got that kind of money. Then there's a W113, the Pagoda. Well, if you've got the capability of doing a restoration on a Pagoda, a beautiful car, and you can make some money, but you better still, you're going to drive it, aren't you? You're going to own it and keep it nice. So the R107, the Bobby Ewing. Well, I think, and yes, if you can get one that's either in good condition, well, you're going to pay a lot of money for one in good condition, but the R107, if you can get one that is pretty good but needs a bit of work, you can add value. But they're already going stratospheric, some of the best ones, particularly if you get them from some of the specialist dealers. The R129 then, that's the one to go for, I think, in terms of investment. You can pay not a lot of money, probably between 15 and 20, a really good one, and that's going up. They're going up already. The R230, like this one, well, I'm hoping that in time this one will go up too. It's probably a few years behind the other, but you know, it's not a bad one, and actually it's a very usable one. The folding metal roof makes it super usable, much better than the R129 in that sense, because you haven't got to decide, is it a top-down day or a top-down day? You can just go for it. The R231, the more modern one, no investments, probably still depreciation happening on some of those, so stick away for those. So top tip, R129 for the most immediate return, but some of the others are already glorious. If it were me, I'd probably pick an R107. It's a classic car, most definitely. It feels like a classic, it drives like a classic, and yes, you've got to have a garage to look after it in, but you know, they are just such a beautiful car, and kind of timeless in the sense of the appeal for those. They're one of the cars that the market sells, so it's definitely trade out there for those cars. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and learning a little bit about the SL, the Super Leicht, and I will see you in the next video. Please like, please subscribe, and tell your friends about these videos. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.